Welcome to ThinkTech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech. I'm Jay Fidell.
And I'm Duke Oishi.
In our show today, we'll go to Lana'i, and we'll take a look at the photovoltaic, that's the PV farm, on the east side of the island.
We'll also take a trip to the Garden of the Gods, the site where Castle Cooke hopes to build a wind farm on the west side of the island.
This and much more to come on ThinkTech.
First, we met with Chris Lovvorn of Castle Cooke at Lana'i City Airport, and he took us for a ride around Lana'i. I know Chris because my firm does some work for Castle Cooke. He's a great guy.
Then we drove to the photovoltaic farm, the PV farm, on the east side of the island.
Maui Electric Company's facility. The large smokestack in the background that you can see the exhaust coming out of, that's connected to two separate 2.2 megawatt Caterpillar diesel generators. They carry the base load for the island. Essentially, both those generators are running 24/7. So we can follow the power poles up to the solar farm. The name of the solar farm is La'ola. La'ola means a life-giving sun in the Hawaiian language. It's been providing power for the island for almost 2 years now. It was in excess of $19 million to build the project, and roughly $1 million of that went to payroll for Lana'i residents. Currently, it's at 50% of its capacity. And it will remain at 50% of its capacity until we put in energy storage, commonly referred to as batteries. So this just kind of gives some basic information, story of La'ola, where the name comes from, generally some of the big stats, the facts about it providing 10% of Lana'i's power. So yeah, the sheep are lots of fun, and we need quite a few more of them. We have six ewes, and they are from Haleakala Ranch. We've had them over here pretty much since we've been up and running. The whole idea really was to try and keep this as sustainable and clean and green as we could. Got Kaho'olawe in the background, Maui on this side, the Hale, our watershed up there, Palawai Basin, town just barely in the background. You can hear that? So that'll get just a little bit of movement every now and again to effectively move the panels so that they'll track with the sun. So what we've got are 12 separate arrays. The panels, essentially, sunlight hits them, excites the electrons, comes to these combiner boxes here. So the combiner boxes here are actually numbered. You'll see the SunPower logo on there. Power goes back down to an inverter for each of the 12 arrays, goes to the green transformers, and then into switchgear, and then there's a pole that's essentially where the solar farm connects with the microgrid. We being Castle Cooke, Maui Electric Company, and the Department of Energy have a memorandum of understanding, memorandum of agreement to try and work Lana'i towards 100% renewable. If you've got something this large, if you're the utility, they've got a responsibility of matching the demand for power. They've got to match the supply with that. So now the sun's coming back out, and this will be producing even more. So that's going to ramp it up, and it's going to ramp it up quickly. So from the utility perspective, they've got to match that supply with the demand. If we can get to a point where we can predict, based on different weather elements, what this is going to produce, that makes it even better for the utility. Because to the extent that we can't predict it, they've got to backfill with power from a reliable, consistent source And right now, that's coming from oil. Just getting started. We just broke ground on this. There's going to be a concrete pad very similar in size to this one that will allow the dynamic power resource, commonly referred to as a battery, that's going to be provided by Extreme Power out of Kyle, Texas. It'll be roughly a 40-foot container. It will connect with the system and will be able to push and pull power to control those ramping up and down from the clouds covering and unveiling the sun.
Later, we drove to the Garden of the Gods, the site where Castle Cooke hopes to build a wind farm on the west side of the island.
What did I get for an apple? An apple.
That's what he's thinking. Is the area within the Cooperative Game Management Area, CGMA. And that land is owned by Castle Cooke and is leased to the DLNR for a very nominal sum. And the DLNR manages the, the game management area. Are the benefits of, diversifying our local economy, creating some jobs, opportunity for kids to come back and work on the island, the potential for levelized rates with Oahu, potential community benefits. How do we weigh all that? And the EIS process really gets us through to where we can make a thoughtful decision, have a thoughtful, informed discussion. So this is a pretty good vantage point, but we'll go and get right underneath it. You can see the flagging on the cables there, the guy wires. The flagging is done to make the guy wires more visible to any of the avian population. We've had 6 of these towers up over 2 years, and in those 2 years we had 0 take. So the landscape that you're looking at looks like it's been cleared. This is actually the natural environment. You can see the effects of the wind erosion. No question about which direction the wind's coming from out here. All of the plants are leaning in the same direction. And there's still some discussion about whether it's going to be a 400 megawatt or a 200 megawatt sized wind farm. Certainly the area that we were taking measurements in that 10,000 acres, should be able to handle a 400 megawatt farm. If we're down to a 200, then we end up using a very, a much smaller footprint, smaller area. So if we were actually going to be doing a 200 megawatt, I would not expect that we would see windmills here. They would probably be concentrated further to the west. So the area that we're in, Garden of the Gods, all of this exposed rock, this is a natural phenomena of the wind essentially coming through and eroding the area. That's about 15 miles per hour, roughly. Pretty consistent, somewhere between 10 and 15. Different sizes have different cut-in speeds. The ones that we have looked at that are between 2.3 megawatts and 3 megawatts of generation per machine, cut in around 4 meters per second, which is roughly 8 to 10 miles an hour. We would be able to generate some clean renewable power today. The great thing about turbine technology is, like everything, and certainly in renewable energy, it keeps getting better, more efficient. The turbines that are on Maui are 1.5 megawatt GE turbines. And again, recall that I said we were looking at 3 megawatt turbines. So if we were to put in those, one turbine would produce twice as much energy as the 1.5 GEs. And there are 3.6 megawatt turbines that exist. There are offshore turbines that are as large as 5 megawatts and even 6 megawatts. So there's still the question about how many turbines will there be? Well, how big is the wind farm going to be? Is it 200 or 400? And then how large is the production of each of the turbines? And until those numbers are decided, I can't give a specific answer. What I can do is I can give a range. The smallest turbine we looked at was roughly 2.3 megawatts. So if we did a 400 megawatt wind farm with 2.3 megawatt turbines, that would potentially be 174 turbines. But the reality, I think, is going to be that after the EIS is done, which will take at least a year, that the turbine technology will have advanced such that the 3.6 or larger turbines will be a viable solution. And again, the 3.0s that Vestas puts out are a viable solution. They were a viable solution 2 years ago.
When we got back, I had a chance to talk with Harry Saunders, president of Castle Cooke, Hawaii. We talked about Castle Cooke's plans for energy and the stewardship of its lands. Hawaii is a laboratory. Hawaii is a successful laboratory to show the world that we understand, we appreciate our natural resources, and we're going to use them in order to move into the 21st century.
Absolutely.
And it's not inconsistent with anything cultural or historical. It is merely a statement of enlightenment. You guys are enlightened,
Well,
in my opinion.
Thank you. There's some who would disagree with you,
I'm sure,
Jay,
I'm
but,
sure.
Thank you.
So tell me, how do you, all things considered, everything we talked about today, how is this gonna play out? From where you stand right now.
I'm an optimist.
Okay.
I believe that there's going to be fits and starts. I'm very encouraged with the new governor, Abercrombie, on his commitment. He repeated it yesterday, looking towards energy.
Yes.
I don't know yet what road it's going to go, but I kind of see the end, and I think there's going to be a renewed enthusiasm.
No pun.
No pun. only because I didn't think of it. And so I do see it. My concern is that we need to, and I really harken back to it, let's get it done.
Yeah.
We do need to move faster. Yeah. We do need to not focus on the naysayers, focus on the solutions.
Yeah.
How can we get there? I think everyone needs to be. It's so much easier to push a ball, even uphill, if everybody's on the same side, the downhill slope, pushing it.
Yeah.
Okay. So from my perspective, we're going to get there, and I think because we have to.
Yeah.
And it's the right thing to do. Are we going to stop doing research on algae? No. I think that's going to help. Are we going to stop looking at wave? No. We have to respect nature. Salt water does wonderful things to any kind of mechanical things.
Wonderful, yes.
Is wind the right tack? It is one of the right tracks. Is it the only answer? No.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm hopeful, and I have to use this word hopeful, that those who oppose can look from a bigger picture to say, we are a state. We are one state. We do need to support each other. And we need to find out how we can all, as opposed to, I don't give a damn about anybody else, I just want me.
Yeah.
We've got to. And I think that's what, the hope that came with Obama, whether you're a fan of his or not, there was that hope.
Yeah.
I think with what, there was disappointment with with the Congress, and there was a big turnover. But there's too much stridency as opposed to how can we get together?
Yeah.
Now, it may sound Pollyannish, but to me that's a necessity. I found I can't get anything done unless I have a team and we're all working towards the same solution. And I think that's what the state needs.
I agree with you. And the new day is directly relevant to this. We are in a new day, Harry.
Yes.
Thanks so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on. Lana'i is one of the most beautiful islands in the world. It's also a place with enormous possibilities for clean, sustainable energy, both PV and wind, energy that can light our state and reduce our dependence on foreign oil. And by the way, I wrote an article for my column in the Star Advertiser on December 5th. You can take a look at that because it expresses some of my views about what's going on Lana'i. What a trip that was, Duke. That was fabulous.
Beautiful island.
Extraordinary place, extraordinary vision, and great prospect for the future.
I agree. And for someone who grew up here, I've never been to the island ever, and that was my first visit, so really enjoyed myself.
Oh, good. I'm glad you had the chance to do that.
Yeah.
I've seen it before, but somehow this trip gave me a greater understanding than I had before.
If you want to know more about Castle Cooke and its energy facilities on Lana'i, see castlecooke.net.
On December 16th, this week, the State Strategic Development Corporation is doing a symposium on best practices in state-supported entrepreneurial programs, with experts coming from Ohio, Oklahoma, and Kansas. You can sign up for this program at enterprisehonolulu.com, hsdc-hawaii.org, or htdc.org.
Just after that program at 5:30 p.m. on December 16th, ThinkTech will be having its 10th reunion at the Plaza Club. Needless to say, all our ThinkTech guests and friends from over the years are invited for an evening of reunion, poo-poos, and cocktails. Sign up on thinktechhawaii.com. We hope to see you there.
Want a tech job? Need a tech worker? This could be your big opportunity. On December 29th, come down to HTDC's 11th Annual Science and Tech Fair, 4:30 to 8 p.m. at the Japanese Cultural Center. For details, see techjobshawaii.org or write to events@htdc.org.
The job fair is on December 29th. We have it during the holidays because it is to showcase the tech industry as a whole for people who are coming back to the island to visit their families, or returning students, newly graduates, and people who are on break from their college on the mainland.
So how does it work? So I'm a student coming back. I hear about this. I see it on ThinkTech on OC16, perhaps. How do I proceed after that?
So you learn about the event, and then you come to the event with your resume, and you have discussions with all the vendors, all the companies that are there, and you meet other people who are in the same situation.
Are the people who are coming to the job fair on the employer side, are they actually hiring or just sniffing around?
Most of them are hiring. The problem with, or the challenge that we face in Hawaii is that sometimes we know that we need the right person for a particular job, but that job isn't going to be vacant for a couple of months. So the timing is going to be crucial. And both the employers and the potential employees understand that. So it's very important to just keep your resume out there, speak as many people as possible, and see what's coming up the pipe. And it's really important for the young people to see what kind of jobs are out there so that, perhaps they don't feel like they could afford to go to medical school or the nursing school, but there are plenty of medical technician type jobs that are out there that they may not really think about. So just having kids exposed to a job fair or technology fairs like this and really understanding what you have to study or what you might want to take in your senior year in high school so that you're not left out of possible opportunities. I think that's very important.
Good news! Bill Spencer, president of the Hawaii Venture Capital Association, is back, ready to give us this week's Spensation.
Well, the Spensation this week is really the sensation that is the new day for Hawaii. Today is the inauguration of our next governor, Neil Abercrombie, and the excitement is in the air. I am so happy and have so much hope for Hawaii going forward. This is an important time, and it's not just me. I sense it among colleagues, friends, just about everybody you meet, I think is positive and looking forward to the days ahead.
I'm with you on that.
Well, I think that we're so lucky that we have a guy who has so much experience in Washington. I think the next 5 or 6 years, Washington is going to play such a critical role in jump-starting the economy. And Washington is not an easy place to deal with. You really got to know your way around. And Neil is the guy to do that. He and his staff understand how Washington works, and that's really going to be a big help to Hawaii. I think also that what's exciting is I think our new governor understands the challenges we face in building our economy. We can't keep importing people here to spend their money. We've got to generate revenues from exports to a global marketplace. And he understands that, and I think he's going to create a business climate that's supportive of that. We cannot protect our environment. We cannot build our infrastructure and improve our infrastructure. We cannot do very much of anything unless we have more tax revenues. And you can't tax people more. That's just out of the question. We have to generate revenues through an expanded economy that exports products, services, and intellectual property to the global marketplace. And that's the thing that's exciting about this new administration. They understand that. we're not going to be stuck in the mire of depending solely on tourism as we go forward in the future.
It's a very exciting time. Starting today with the inauguration, only in a few minutes, you can feel the excitement in the air. You can feel the new day in the air. You can feel the new generation taking hold. It's a very nice feeling.
It's a great feeling, and I don't think it's just hyperbole and metaphor. I really think we've got some people at the top, as well as the cabinet, which we're just getting to know, who really have the wherewithal to make things happen. I'm going to give them all my support. I hope that everybody that is out there that has a stake in Hawaii's future is going to really be supportive and try and minimize the negativism, minimize the protest. Let's get on to business.
Yeah, let's come together. The islands come together, the economy comes together, the people come together. This is an opportunity for Hawaii to catch up and go forward and be that bridge to Asia with a new economy and a new opportunity for every single kid.
That's right.
That's what I want to see.
I have hope for that, and I think Neil's the man that can make it happen.
It's a wonderful intersection. I'm so glad we're right here, right now.
Great place to be.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of ThinkTech, but first we want to thank our underwriters.
Thanks to the Scheidler Family Foundation. Jay Scheidler, through the Scheidler Family Foundation, is an active supporter of a number of educational, cultural, and charitable organizations, including ThinkTech.
Hawaiian Electric Company, HECO and its affiliates Miko on Maui and Helco on the Big Island are deeply committed to supporting the communities they serve.
Galen Ho. Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company which has a large presence in and commitment to Hawaii.
The High Tech Development Corporation, HTDC, is a state agency dedicated to developing Hawaii's high-tech industry, diversifying our economy, and providing quality jobs for our people.
Okay, Duke, that wraps up this week's edition of ThinkTech. Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on OC16 several times a week. For additional times, check out oc16.tv.
And for lots more ThinkTech videos and for underwriting and sponsorship opportunities on ThinkTech, please visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a sponsor and help us reach Hawaii.
I'm Jay Fidell. Thanks for joining us on ThinkTech.
And I'm Duke Oishi. Aloha, everyone.